There is a place in the universe where even light can never return, where all human knowledge, no matter how vast, dissolves into silence. There, the boundary between understanding and unknowing, between light and darkness, becomes as fragile as mist. In the previous story, we traveled alongside light, watching the universe expand, listening to the breath of space, and witnessing time stretch into endless waves. But in this story, the journey goes farther, to the edge of all that can be seen, where the universe is no longer a picture to behold, but a mirror reflecting the depths of human consciousness. From learning to filter the noise within ourselves, to hear the true voice of the cosmos, to the golden mirrors of Webb unfolding toward the dawn of the first stars, to light bending upon itself across space, and finally to the horizon where light stops and time begins to dissolve. This is the final journey of discovery. From noise to stillness, from seeking to surrender. Tonight, if you listen closely, you will realize the universe is still whispering, not out there, but within the quiet that lives inside you. Before every discovery in astronomy, before every new window to the cosmos, there is static, the faint hiss between frequencies, the sound of confusion before clarity. It is not the voice of the universe we first hear, but the echo of ourselves. Astronomers call it foreground contamination. It is the interference that clouds the ancient signal of the cosmos, the noise that Earth itself produces, the hum of our radio towers, the breath of our atmosphere, the faint dust that glows in infrared, even the satellites that orbit above us, whispering, bouncing, interrupting, all become part of this tangled web of sound and light. Before we can hear the beginning of the universe, we must first learn to remove the fingerprints of our own existence from the sky. When scientists tune their instruments, what they really tune is silence. The great observatories, Hera in South Africa, LOFAR in the Netherlands, MWA in Australia, listen not to the stars, but the faint intervals between them. Their antennas stretch wide like open hands, trying to catch a whisper from billions of years ago. But every signal that reaches them is drenched in noise, a storm of human creation. It's humbling to think that the universe has always been speaking, but we've been too loud to listen. In many ways, foreground contamination is not just a technical problem. It's a mirror, because we too carry noise within us, the endless chatter of our own minds, worries, thoughts, fears, memories. We fill our inner sky with so much interference that we can no longer hear the quiet pulse beneath it. As Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." To truly listen to the universe, we must first look within, to the static between our own thoughts. Imagine for a moment you are lying beneath a sky filled with invisible frequencies. Every star emits, every atom vibrates. And yet, what you hear most clearly is the faint crackle, the interference of your own heartbeat, your own breathing, your own mind trying to interpret the infinite. That noise is not an obstacle. It's part of the process. It reminds you that observation always begins with imperfection. The early astronomers, too, mistook noise for meaning. When Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson first detected the faint microwave hiss of the cosmic background radiation in 1964, they thought it was pigeon droppings on their antenna. They cleaned it, recalibrated, and still, the noise remained. Only later did they realize that this noise was not from Earth, but from the birth of time itself. Sometimes what seems like interference is the voice of creation. And yet, the opposite is also true. Sometimes what we think is signal is only noise. That's the paradox of listening, in science and in life. The art lies not in hearing more, but in hearing less. Every sound we make, a physicist once said, echoes back to us. The universe is an endless chamber reflecting everything we send out. The same applies to the human mind. Our thoughts return again and again, amplified by the walls we've built inside ourselves. To quiet that echo, we must learn to soften the sound we create. Astronomers do this by subtracting themselves from the data, removing the glow of the Milky Way, filtering out local signals, isolating what is truly ancient. In the same way, to understand our place in the cosmos, we must filter out the static of our own existence, the noise of ego, the hum of ambition, the interference of constant thought. You cannot hear the universe until you learn to quiet your own signal. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the faint hiss between radio stations, that soft, endless sea of white noise. That is what the early universe sounds like. The afterglow of creation, stretched thin by billions of years of expansion. Now imagine that sound within you, the quiet hum of being alive. The tiny constant vibration that never stops, even in stillness. Perhaps that too is a kind of foreground contamination, the signature of consciousness itself. The mind, like the cosmos, is full of background chatter, but beneath it lies something older, steadier, the true signal. Science at its core is an act of listening. Every telescope, every receiver is just an extension of our desire to hear what the universe has been saying since the beginning. But as we listen outward, we also listen inward. Because the line between the two, between cosmos and consciousness, is thinner than we think. The static between stars, the silence between thoughts, they are made of the same thing. Both are invitations to listen deeper. And maybe that is what the universe has been asking all along, to turn down the noise, to soften the frequencies, to remember that silence is not empty. It is full of everything we have yet to understand. When the noise fades, what remains is not silence. It is truth. In the previous reflection, we listened to the static between stars, the restless background hum that separates our voice from the universe's. Yet, the story does not end with hearing the noise. The real act of discovery begins when we learn how to subtract it. Astronomers face this challenge every day. They know that the first signal they receive from space is never pure. It's layered with interference from our planet, our atmosphere, our own machines. Before they can hear the first whispers of the early cosmos, they must peel away every trace of themselves. That process, delicate and patient, is what they call foreground removal. At Hera in South Africa, giant dishes stand like open palms beneath the night sky, listening to hydrogen's faint frequency from the dawn of time. But those ancient echoes are buried beneath radio chatter from cities, from satellites, from storms. Scientists must carefully subtract each false tone, each local ripple, until what's left is something almost sacred, the untouched voice of the universe, 13 billion years old. LOFA in the Netherlands and MWA in Australia do the same, not by amplifying the signal, but by quieting the noise. They spend months calibrating, modeling, filtering. It's not an act of addition, but of letting go. Science at its heart, one astronomer said softly, is an act of listening. And like all true listening, it begins not with what you want to find, but with what you're willing to release. It is the same in life. Most of us believe peace comes from finding something new. New answers, new voices, new meaning. But real peace is not about adding more. It is about removing what no longer belongs. It's about subtraction, about peeling away every thought that hums too loudly until what remains is clear. Silence, as the writer Gordon Hempton once said, is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of clarity. Astronomers seek that clarity not in the empty sky, but in the spaces between their measurements. They know that silence is never truly empty. It is full of data, full of hidden signals, full of the past, waiting to be revealed. The same is true for the mind. When you stop filling it, it begins to speak. Picture a telescope dish standing in a desert, its metal glinting under a cold blue dawn. Around it, nothing stirs. Yet the air vibrates with invisible waves, echoes of creation itself. The scientist listening to that dish is not unlike a monk in meditation. Both are trying to hear something ancient beneath the surface of noise. Both understand that what they seek cannot be forced, only allowed. In meditation, you do not silence your thoughts by fighting them. You simply let them pass, like clouds drifting across a night sky. The astronomer does the same. They let the false signals drift away, gently, layer by layer, until the real one appears. Both acts require patience, humility, and faith in the quiet. There is a beauty in that, in knowing that progress sometimes comes not from doing more, but from doing less. Imagine if we treated our inner world the way astronomers treat the sky, not trying to amplify every feeling or thought, but learning to filter, to listen, to let go. What might we discover beneath the static of our daily lives? Perhaps that still steady pulse that has always been there. The signal beneath the storm. When the great radio arrays of Earth finally isolate the cosmic whisper they've been chasing, it's not a roar of revelation that follows. It's a hush. The signal is faint, barely perceptible, and yet it carries the entire story of the universe's beginning. In that fragile pattern of radio waves, scientists hear the moment when matter and light first began to separate, the dawn of all things. And so it is with us. Beneath the surface noise of thought and memory lies something older, quieter, more constant. A presence that has always been there, waiting to be heard. You cannot force that moment. You can only subtract. Let go of the interference, the overthinking, the need to control. What's left will not be emptiness, but a signal, pure and ancient, that connects you to everything. When you listen with stillness, you are no longer just hearing the universe. You are hearing yourself, reflected across 13 billion years of light. When everything unnecessary has been stripped away, when the noise fades, the echoes soften, and only the quietest frequencies remain, what's left is not emptiness. It is clarity. At the end of every act of subtraction comes a moment that cannot be measured. The moment the signal finally emerges from the static. In radio astronomy, it's when the faint hum of the early universe rises just above the noise floor, no longer lost among the interferences of Earth. Scientists call it the dawn signal, the whisper of hydrogen from the time when the first stars were still unborn. It is not a loud discovery. It is almost inaudible, a sigh across billions of years. But that is precisely why it's so powerful. After months or even years of removing false readings, recalibrating instruments, and tuning antennas, astronomers reach a point where there is nothing left to remove. Only a fragile signal, too faint to impress the impatient, but perfect in its honesty. It is, as one scientist described it, the sound of the universe becoming aware of itself. And in that stillness, something remarkable happens. The distinction between observer and observed begins to blur. In our own lives, there is a similar moment. The instant when thought finally quiets, when worry pauses, and a deeper presence fills the space left behind. It does not announce itself. It does not arrive with clarity or insight. It simply is. A still point, delicate, steady, infinite. T.S. Eliot once wrote, "At the still point of the turning world, there the dance is." The dance, he said, does not stop, but there is a place within it that remains unmoved. In that unmoved place lies true knowing. Just as astronomers must listen beneath the noise of their own instruments, we too must learn to listen beneath the hum of our own minds. Beneath the chatter, the questions, the constant need to make sense of things, there is something quieter that waits to be heard. It is not thought. It is awareness itself. You might call it the inner cosmos, a universe that exists not in stars and galaxies, but in silence and understanding. Imagine this. You are sitting under a night sky so clear that every star seems suspended in perfect stillness. For a moment, you stop naming them. You stop searching for patterns. You simply look. The stars are no longer far away. They are within you. Tiny reflections of the same energy that once burst forth at the beginning of time. You realize that what you are seeing is not the sky, but a mirror. In science, when the noise finally disappears, the cosmos speaks in data, in frequencies, in photons, in patterns of energy. In the human soul, when the noise disappears, it speaks in peace. Both are languages of the same silence. Astronomers often describe the moment they detect a true cosmic signal as a kind of quiet awe. It's not celebration, not triumph, more like reverence. The universe does not shout, it whispers. It speaks in wavelengths so long, so ancient, they seem more like memory than sound. And perhaps that is what awareness is. The universe remembering itself through you. When you sit in silence, when your thoughts grow soft and the static fades, you are doing what the great telescopes do every night, listening across billions of years for something real. And when it comes, it does not arrive with words. It arrives as stillness. You do not hear it. You recognize it because you have known it all along. That quiet signal, the one beneath every heartbeat, every breath, every passing thought, has never stopped speaking. It has only been drowned out by noise. When you finally hear it, the world does not change, but you do. The stars no longer feel far away. They feel familiar, as if they've always been a part of you. As the physicist Max Planck once said, "There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force, and we must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. In that mind, both the universe and you are made of the same quiet intelligence, unfolding, expanding, and remembering. And so, As the instruments of humanity listen deeper, peeling back every layer of noise, they are doing what consciousness itself has always done, seeking to remember what it truly is. The moment the noise disappears, both science and spirit arrive at the same place, a still point of knowing. The universe has always been speaking. We were just too loud to listen. When the static of the stars faded, what remained was silence. A silence so vast it seemed to breathe. For a long time, humanity had listened to that silence, waiting. From the first radio antennas scraping the sky to the hum of modern observatories, we had been trying to separate noise from truth. And then, one day, we built something that could see what we had only been able to hear, something that could look into the oldest light and witness the first dawn of creation itself. That something was the James Webb Space Telescope. Suspended in the dark, 1,000,000 miles from Earth, Webb unfolds slowly, like a flower blooming in absolute silence. Its golden mirrors, 18 hexagons glinting like honeycomb, open their arms to the past. Each piece is perfectly aligned, polished to atomic precision, designed to catch the faintest whispers of infrared light traveling for over 13 billion years. Light that began its journey before there were galaxies, before there were stars, before even time, as we know it, had rhythm. It is a strange kind of awakening, like opening your eyes after the longest sleep. NASA called Webb a time machine, but in truth, it is something more poetic than that. It is a mirror that reflects not only the universe, but our own longing to understand it. For all its gold and engineering, Webb is, at its heart, an act of faith. Faith that light remembers, that darkness can reveal, and that we, tiny beings on a small planet, are capable of reaching back across eternity just to see. The first time Webb's mirror faced the cosmos, it did not look at something new. It looked at something ancient. The faint red glow it gathered had traveled through expanding space since the universe's earliest moments, stretched, dimmed, and softened by time. Each photon Webb captured carried the memory of when matter first began to take shape. As one astronomer said, every photon Webb collects is a story 13 billion years in the making. When those first images arrived, glowing galaxies, twisted clusters, the faint halos of light that had never been seen before, the world fell silent again. But this silence was different. It was reverence. Webb had not just shown us distant stars. It had shown us time itself, folding back like a curtain. To see so far is not to discover something new. It is to remember something forgotten. The golden mirror, suspended in its frozen ballet, reminds us that looking outward and looking inward are the same act. Like opening your eyes after the longest sleep. Yes, but also like remembering who you have always been. When you gaze at Webb's images, galaxies colliding like brushstrokes, nebulae glowing like thoughts, you begin to understand that seeing is not passive. It's participation. Each reflection, each beam of light completes a circle that began billions of years ago. Light leaves a star, travels across expanding space, and ends in your eyes. And in that moment, the universe witnesses itself through you. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The only journey is the one within." Webb's golden mirror is humanity's way of taking that journey outward, so far outward that it loops back inward again. It does not separate us from the cosmos. It reminds us that we have never been apart. When Webb looks at the distant galaxies, it is also looking at the origin of wonder itself. Because long before we built telescopes, we already carried them inside. The quiet desire to see beyond the horizon, to turn mystery into meaning. And every time we lift our gaze to the stars, we awaken that ancient instinct again. What Webb sees now is not just a record of the past, it's a reflection of how deeply we wish to know. Perhaps that's why the mirror is gold, not just to reflect light, but to hold it, to honor it. Gold does not tarnish. It endures, like memory, like time. So when you look at Webb's shining face suspended in darkness, imagine not a machine, but an eye. Humanity's shared eye, slowly opening after cosmic sleep. Imagine what it means to witness light that began before your ancestors had names, before the earth had oceans, before even darkness had contrast. That is what it means to see, not with sight, but with stillness. Because every act of seeing is also an act of remembering. And somewhere in that quiet space between starlight and thought, between the universe and the soul, something ancient awakens, softly, patiently, and whispers, "You have always been part of this light." Once the golden mirrors of Webb opened to the dark, the universe began to answer, not in words, but in light. The telescope that unfolded in silence now gazed back across time, reaching for the faintest glimmers of the cosmic dawn, when the first galaxies ignited against an endless night. It was not searching for brightness. It was searching for beginnings. Each photon Webb receives has traveled across an ocean of expanding space, stretched and softened by 13 billion years of time. The light that arrives is ancient, so old that it began its journey when the first stars were still flickering into existence. What Webb captures then is not merely light. It is memory, time made visible. When astronomers speak of this cosmic dawn, they are describing the universe's awakening, the first breath after a long, dark silence. Imagine tiny clusters of gas collapsing under gravity, the first sparks of fusion igniting like candles in a cosmic cathedral. Webb's infrared eyes, so sensitive they can detect the warmth of a single photon, peer through the veils of dust that once hid this era from sight. Through it, we glimpse the moment creation began to see itself. One scientist, watching the first Webb images appear, whispered, "Each image Webb sends back is not just light, it is time made visible." It's a sentence that feels almost spiritual. Because what we're seeing is not a snapshot. It's a message sent across billions of years saying, "We were here, we began." The faint, red-shifted galaxies that Webb captures are so small, so fragile, that each one might fit into a single pixel of its golden mirrors. Yet within those pixels lies the foundation of everything. Every atom of carbon, every molecule of oxygen, every possibility of life. We are watching in real time the first act of existence. To see far, wrote philosopher Teilhard de Chardin, is to remember deeply. And that is what Webb allows us to do. To remember not with our minds, but with our eyes. Each glowing arc, each soft swirl of starlight is a piece of the universe remembering how to become itself. And as we look, something awakens in us too. A quiet recognition that the light we see has always been our story. When you look at a Webb image, at the tangled webs of galaxies stretching across the void, you are not seeing something far away. You are seeing something long ago. You are watching the same light that once touched the first dust that would one day become you. In that sense, Webb's mirrors are not just the eyes of science, they are the eyes of humanity. Mirrors through which the universe learns to look back at itself. Every human being who has ever wondered about their place in the cosmos shares in this act of seeing. The telescope may hang beyond Earth, but it carries the gaze of billions. All of us looking outward, searching for meaning in the same darkness. And perhaps that is why these images move us so deeply. They remind us that seeing is not just about distance, but connection. When Webb shows us a galaxy that formed 13.5 billion years ago, we feel something ancient stir inside. Because what we're seeing, it's not out there. It's the beginning of here. The deeper Webb peers into the past, the more personal the vision becomes. In those distant galaxies, we see the first carbon atoms that would one day form the molecules of our DNA. The first explosions of light that would one day burn in our cells. The first stirrings of order that would one day learn to wonder about themselves. And so, to look at the early universe is to look inward. When you close your eyes at night and remember your past, the people you've loved, the moments you've lost, the dreams that never left you, you are performing the same act as Webb. You are seeing through layers of time, not as they are, but as they were. The light of those moments still exists, still travels through the corridors of your memory. Light does not die when the star fades. It keeps moving quietly, endlessly, carrying the story forward. So when Webb reveals a faint galaxy glowing softly in the dark, it is showing us a truth both cosmic and human. Nothing truly vanishes. Everything that has ever been continues to echo. To see far is to remember deeply. That is the essence of what Webb gives us. Not just knowledge, but remembrance. Every image, every swirl of light is a reminder that to understand the universe is also to understand the self. For when we look at those ancient stars, we are looking at the light we carry within. And when we remember that, when we realize that our very atoms were born from the same fire Webb now observes, we are no longer just observers. We are participants in a story that began long before us and will continue long after. So the next time you see one of Webb's golden portraits of the past, pause. Let it sink in. You are not simply watching light from the edge of time. You are watching yourself, stretched across eternity, still shining. After Webb revealed the first galaxies, faint spirals of ancient light drifting at the edge of time, the world watched in silence. There was awe, of course, but also something softer, something almost intimate. Because what Webb showed us wasn't only the past of the universe, it was the reflection of our own need to see, to understand, to believe. Each image carried not just data, but devotion. To build a telescope that could see across 13 billion years was not merely an act of engineering. It was an act of faith. Faith that light remembers, that the universe will speak if we only learn how to listen. From the beginning, Webb was a fragile dream. Thousands of people across decades built it knowing that one mistake could silence it forever. Yet they built it anyway. Because that is what humans do when they want to touch the infinite. We risk everything for a glimpse of wonder. When its golden mirrors finally unfolded, alone in the cold shadow beyond the moon, Webb became more than a machine. It became a symbol of what imagination can do when it refuses to give up. Every telescope, someone once said, is a mirror, showing us not just what is out there, but what we dare to dream. And that is true of Webb more than any that came before. Its mirrors are made of gold, but what they reflect is courage. Every hexagon, every perfect fold is the embodiment of a question. What if we could see farther? But perhaps the most beautiful thing Webb teaches us is that seeing farther always leads us back home. Because the deeper we look into the universe, the more we realize we are made of it. The photons Webb collects have traveled for billions of years only to arrive in our gaze. Light from the first stars crosses cosmic distances to touch the back of our eyes. And in that instant, we complete the journey. We are not outside the story. We are part of it. In one sense, Webb's golden eye looks outward, but in another, it looks within, into the human spirit that dared to believe such a thing was possible. When you stare at its images, what you're really seeing is the reflection of the same creative spark that drives both science and art, the longing to know, to feel, to connect. And isn't that what imagination truly is? A telescope of the soul. Just as Webb gathers invisible light, imagination gathers invisible hope, drawing meaning from the dark. It turns silence into possibility. It transforms distance into understanding. Every scientific breakthrough begins this way, not with certainty, but with wonder. Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world." Webb is that imagination, made metal, gold, and glass, reaching into the dark not because it knows what's there, but because it hopes something will answer. And something does. When Webb peers into the deep field, that tiny patch of darkness no wider than a grain of sand held at arm's length, it reveals thousands of galaxies, each one a city of stars. What was once nothing becomes everything. What was once empty becomes infinite. That is what faith in discovery does. It turns darkness into meaning. In this way, Webb reminds us that knowledge and wonder are not opposites. They are partners. Science builds the mirror. Wonder gives it purpose. So perhaps tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine Webb still floating out there, a golden bloom unfolding in the endless dark, collecting ancient whispers of creation. Somewhere in that vastness, light from the first stars is still on its way, traveling across billions of years, carrying the memory of beginnings. And maybe, just maybe, that light isn't only coming toward the telescope, it's coming toward you. Because in a way, you are also a mirror, one that reflects and remembers the same cosmic story. The atoms in your hands once burned in those distant stars Webb now sees. The light you feel within is the same light it gathers. So when you look at the night sky or when you close your eyes to rest, know that you are still part of that light, still shining, still traveling, still seen. Every telescope is a mirror. Every human heart too. Close your eyes now and remember. Somewhere out there, light from the first stars is still traveling toward you. When Webb's golden mirrors turned toward the farthest edges of space, what it revealed was not a straight path of light, but a dance, a cosmic bending, a curve too graceful to be accidental. Galaxies twisted into halos, stars smeared into luminous arcs, and faint smudges of ancient light stretched into delicate rings. It was as if the universe had placed mirrors within itself, bending its own reflection to gaze back through time. This is gravitational lensing, the phenomenon Einstein predicted more than a century ago. In his theory of general relativity, gravity is not merely a force that pulls. It is a curve in the very fabric of space and time. Matter tells space-time how to curve, Einstein wrote, and space-time tells matter how to move. When light passes near massive objects like clusters of galaxies or black holes, it follows those curves, not because it is weak, but because space itself is alive. From Earth's telescopes, this curvature reveals itself as beauty. Glowing circles called Einstein's rings, where the light from a galaxy billions of years away wraps around another in front of it. Sometimes the effect is subtle, weak lensing, a gentle stretching of cosmic patterns. Sometimes it is strong and breathtaking, turning single galaxies into arcs of fire that encircle clusters like ghostly fingerprints of gravity itself. Astronomers once thought space was empty, a vast, silent void where light traveled freely. But gravitational lensing tells us otherwise. Space is not still. It breathes. It bends, folds, and shapes the path of light, as if tracing invisible hands across a cosmic canvas. Every deflected ray carries a whisper of the unseen, dark matter, dark energy, the invisible structures that make up most of the universe. In this sense, light is not just traveling, it's remembering the shape of what it passes. Each beam is a traveler carrying a map written by gravity. Each photon bends in reverence to mass, following the geometry of creation. You might imagine this bending as distortion, but it is, in truth, revelation. Because by curving light, the universe exposes what cannot otherwise be seen. Hidden galaxies appear behind brighter ones, magnified like secrets surfacing from the depths. What was invisible becomes visible, not because we forced it to be, but because gravity itself lends us its lens. It is a strange irony, the universe helping us to see itself. Perhaps that is what makes gravitational lensing so poetic. It's not only a tool of astronomy, it's an act of self-recognition. The cosmos becomes its own mirror. Light bends not because it is weak, a physicist once said, but because space itself is alive. And maybe that is why these arcs of starlight move us so deeply. They remind us that even the smallest deflection, the gentlest curve, carries within it the shape of everything that exists. When Webb captures those shimmering arcs, the soft rings of light looping around clusters billions of light years away, we are not just seeing distance, we are seeing time folded back upon itself. The light from galaxies long dead is bent and magnified by galaxies still alive, creating an impossible image where past and present share the same frame. To look at it is to glimpse eternity reflected in motion. Astronomers use these cosmic distortions not just for beauty, but for truth. By studying the bending of light, they can weigh entire clusters, map dark matter, and measure the expansion of the universe. But beneath the equations and simulations, there's something profoundly human about this process. We too bend under the weight of what we carry. We too distort the light that passes through us. Yet even in that distortion, meaning appears. Like those galaxies, our experiences bend the light of who we are, shaping how we see and how we are seen. The gravity of memory pulls our thoughts into patterns, The gravity of love curves the trajectory of our choices. And just like light, we don't resist the bend. We move with it, tracing invisible lines through space and time. Gravitational lensing teaches us that even the universe needs perspective. It cannot see itself directly. It must use its own mass to reflect and refract, to witness itself through the bending of its own light. Perhaps consciousness too works this way. Perhaps awareness itself is gravity, folding thought back toward its source. In the soft glow of these arcs, something intimate emerges. The idea that every act of seeing is also an act of being seen. When we gaze into the universe gazes back, not through eyes, but through the very curvature of existence. We are the cosmos made conscious, wrote Carl Sagan, and life is the means by which the universe understands itself. Through gravitational lensing, that metaphor becomes literal. The cosmos, bending its own light, is studying itself through us. And so Webb, with its golden mirrors and tireless gaze, becomes part of this cosmic dialogue. Not an observer, but a participant. It listens to light the way one listens to a memory, patiently, reverently, knowing that what arrives has traveled far. Each ring of light Webb captures is a whisper of symmetry, proof that even chaos can find order, that even the vast and violent can form something as delicate as a circle. And in that circle, there is a kind of peace, because to watch the universe bend its own light is to realize that everything, even the paths that seem broken, still lead home. Light may curve, stretch, and fade, but it never stops. It moves forward endlessly, following the rhythm of spacetime's invisible song. So, as you listen tonight, imagine those arcs of light still crossing the dark, long after the stars that birthed them have gone quiet. Imagine the gentle bending of space, like the universe exhaling. Light bends not because it surrenders, but because it belongs. And perhaps that is the truest reflection of all, that every curve, every echo, every distortion is the universe remembering itself over and over again. As light bends across the vastness of space, curving around clusters, circling galaxies, folding upon itself, something deeper begins to emerge. The arcs and halos we call Einstein's rings are not only phenomena of physics, they are acts of recognition. It is as if the universe, through the bending of its own light, has found a way to see itself. When we left the last moment of our journey, light had just learned to curve, following the soft geometry of gravity, tracing the invisible shape of space-time. But now, as we linger within those luminous arcs, a quiet realization unfolds. Every curve of light is also a mirror. Each reflection, each distortion, each echo of a galaxy far beyond our reach is the cosmos observing its own reflection through us. In a way, gravitational lensing is the most poetic proof of what physicist John Wheeler once said. We are part of the universe that has become self-aware. The act of looking up, of studying the sky, is not separate from the cosmos itself. The eyes that watch are built from the very stardust that once shone. The mind that seeks to understand is sculpted by the same physical laws that bend light through galaxies. Every lens, every curve of light, one astronomer wrote, is the cosmos seeing its own reflection. The more we observe, the more this truth becomes undeniable. The boundary between observer and observed is an illusion. Each photon Webb collects has traveled through billions of years, through warps of gravity, clouds of dust, and endless dark, only to arrive here, in our instruments, in our eyes, in our consciousness. And when it does, the act of observation completes a circle. The universe has looked back at itself and found awareness. Carl Sagan once said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." That line, so simple yet so infinite, is not just metaphor, it is literal. Through our perception, the universe gains perspective. Through our curiosity, it sees beyond itself. When you gaze at those images, the golden spirals, the ghostly arcs magnified by cosmic gravity, you are not standing apart from the spectacle. You are inside it. The act of seeing makes you part of the lens. The curvature of your own eyes mirrors the curvature of space-time. The neurons that fire in your brain follow the same laws as the stars that spin across the sky. You are the continuation of that same bending of light. The universe, through you, practices the art of awareness. To many, gravitational lensing is a scientific phenomenon, a tool for mapping dark matter, a means of magnification. But to others, it is a kind of meditation. The cosmos pausing to gaze into its own depth. Like a pond reflecting moonlight, space gathers its light, bends it inward, and shows us something both foreign and familiar. Each observation becomes a conversation, a dialogue between the infinite and the intimate. The galaxies whisper, "I am here," and we whisper back, "So am I." This dialogue has no words, only light. It flows silently across time, from the beginning of creation to the present moment, where you sit, listening, breathing, existing. Imagine that for a moment. Somewhere in the deep past, a photon leaves a dying star. It passes by a cluster of galaxies so massive that space-time itself bows. It bends, travels another 10 billion years, and lands gently in the sensor of a telescope orbiting far from Earth. That same photon, having journeyed across epochs, becomes part of an image you now see. You are its destination. When you look at that image, you are witnessing an unbroken thread between your awareness and the universe's origin. You are not just looking outward. You are completing a circuit of perception that began before life itself. Perhaps this is why, when we see those arcs of light, those soft distortions painted across the dark, we feel a sense of stillness, even peace. Because in that image, something familiar looks back at us. Every gravitational lens is a mirror of infinity, and we are within its reflection. This idea carries a kind of quiet grace. The cosmos doesn't merely exist. It participates. It curves. It echoes. It remembers. It holds up mirrors made of gravity and light so that one day consciousness might emerge and understand. In the folds of space, in the curvature of time, in the gold of Webb's mirrors, the universe is not only showing us what is out there, it's teaching us what it means to see. To see, in this sense, is not to collect data. It is to become the thing seen. It is to dissolve the line between subject and object, self and cosmos. We are not just observers. The physicist and philosopher Henri Poincaré once suggested, we are part of the universe that observes itself. So tonight, as you listen, imagine this. The galaxies are not distant. They are thoughts. Ancient, luminous thoughts drifting across the mind of the cosmos. And you, with your small and perfect consciousness, are one of those thoughts learning to see. Each observation, each moment of wonder brings the universe closer to understanding itself. When Webb captures light bent through gravitational lensing, it is not simply gathering images. It is recording an act of cosmic mindfulness, a stillness in motion, a breath across eternity. And so, as your own breathing slows, let that truth settle into you. You are not apart from the vastness. You are the awareness through which the vastness becomes known. Every lens, every curve of light, every heartbeat, and every thought, all of it is the same reflection endlessly folding upon itself. The galaxies are not out there. They are within you too. Because to see the universe is to realize that you have always been its mirror. A mirror of infinity, perfectly curved, quietly shining back. And as you close your eyes, remember this. The act of seeing never ends. Even now, the light continues to bend, and the universe continues to watch itself through you. As the light bends and loops across cosmic distances, something remarkable happens. The image we see is not the universe as it is, but as it was, reflected through the curves of time. What Webb captures in its golden eye are echoes, light that has traveled for billions of years, twisted, delayed, magnified, and mirrored by the invisible hands of gravity. Each photon has been folded through space-time, carrying within it the memory of every turn. In the last moment of our story, we learn that gravitational lensing is not just a distortion, but a dialogue, the universe watching itself through us. But as that dialogue deepens, a softer truth begins to emerge. Light does not only show us reflection, it shows us memory. Each fold in space-time is a kind of remembrance, a returning, a revisiting, a moment bending back to touch its own origin. Einstein once said, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." In gravitational lensing, we see this illusion unravel. Light from a galaxy long gone still reaches us, painting itself anew in arcs of fire. The universe, it seems, is not linear. It folds, loops, curves back, making time behave less like a line and more like a breath, expanding, contracting, then expanding again. Astronomers call these overlapping arcs multiple images, duplicates of the same galaxy scattered across the field of view. But beneath that scientific label lies something profoundly human. The recognition that even light cannot move forward without looking back. It is, in a way, the universe remembering itself. You can imagine it like this. A single photon leaves a star, travels across space, meets a great mass, a cluster of galaxies, and is bent by their gravity. It takes another path, arrives at another angle, and we see it twice or three times or more. The same light from the same source folded and shown again. It is as if the cosmos itself keeps reminders of what it once was, like our minds replaying memories we cannot let go of. In mindfulness, this is familiar territory. The universe folds over itself, we might say, just as your thoughts do when you remember. Memory, after all, is not a straight path. It bends, it returns, it repeats itself in different forms, a sound, a scent, a flicker of light. And suddenly, the past curves into the present, just as starlight does across billions of years. The folded sky above us is a mirror of the folded sky within. Every time we remember, we are also bending time. We take something that once was and bring it back into being, giving it new shape in the moment we recall it. Perhaps this is why gravitational lensing feels so meditative to watch. Its beauty lies not in perfection, but in imperfection, in the way space bends and repeats, how it carries traces of everything it has touched. There's something deeply soothing about that. The thought that even light, the purest traveler in the universe, does not move in straight lines. It curves, it revisits, it learns. If you close your eyes now and imagine those arcs of light stretched and looping through the black velvet of space, you might feel that same movement within your own mind. The gentle folding of thought, the soft returning of awareness to itself. In meditation, they say the mind, when still, does not erase thought. It allows thought to return home. Awareness does not escape the past. It gathers it. It bends it inward, just as gravity bends light. The more we understand the universe, the more we begin to recognize this pattern everywhere. In the stars, in memory, in breath. There is no true separation between the cosmic and the personal. The same physics that guides the curvature of galaxies guides the curvature of our inner lives. Just as the universe folds upon itself, so too do we, inward, toward reflection, toward peace. Imagine gravity not as a force pulling you down, but as a presence drawing everything, light, matter, consciousness, back toward its origin. Perhaps awareness itself is gravity, the quiet, unseen attraction that pulls every scattered thought, every drifting fragment of being, back into stillness. You might feel that even now, a small gravity within your breath, pulling your awareness inward as your body rests, as your mind softens. The act of noticing becomes its own kind of orbit, returning you to yourself again and again. Out there, the light from galaxies still travels, bending through invisible wells of gravity, arriving to us folded and multiplied. And in here, within you, thought does the same, returning, refracting, reshaping, until what remains is silence. In that silence, you begin to understand. Nothing truly disappears. Every thought, every moment, every beam of light still exists, folded somewhere within the fabric of the whole. When astronomers study these gravitational lenses, they reconstruct the lost images, tracing the arcs back to where they began. In doing so, they unfold the sky. And in meditation, we do the same. We unfold ourselves. Every curve, every echo, every fold in time leads back to the same truth, that all things, stars, minds, and light, are drawn toward awareness. Maybe that's what the universe has been doing all along, folding, bending, and returning, not to collapse, but to remember. And perhaps, in its endless remembering, it is teaching us the same lesson: to be patient with the bends in our own path, to trust that even when we seem far from home, gravity, awareness, is always pulling us back. So tonight, as the galaxies curve and the light folds, let your thoughts drift. Let them loop and return. You don't need to straighten them. You don't need to reach a destination, because the truth, whispered by every photon and every heartbeat, is simple. There is no edge to the sky, only folds, and every fold brings you closer to yourself. Perhaps awareness itself is gravity, pulling every thought, every moment back toward its source. When light folds, it remembers where it came from, and as it journeys farther through the silent corridors of space-time, it reaches a place where memory itself begins to fade, a place beyond which even light cannot return. This is where our story now drifts, to the edge of what can be known. From the folded sky, where gravity bends the visible into delicate spirals, we move outward, farther than Webb's mirrors can reach, farther than any photon that has ever found its way to us. Here, we begin to meet the boundaries of vision itself. Two horizons that define the limits of the observable universe. The first is the particle horizon, the edge of everything we can possibly see, marked by the oldest light, the afterglow of the Big Bang. It is the farthest distance any photon has traveled to reach us since the birth of time, the faintest whisper from the universe's beginning. The second is more mysterious, the cosmic event horizon. Beyond this, space expands so quickly that light from distant galaxies will never reach us, not now, not ever. They drift away faster than the light they emit can travel back. It is a border drawn not by distance, but by destiny. A line where sight itself dissolves. Beyond that line, as one physicist beautifully put it, even light gives up trying to return. When we look into the night sky, every star, every galaxy is already an echo. We are not seeing the universe as it is, but as it was. Each beam of light a time capsule, each shimmer a ghost. Some galaxies we see tonight, cosmologists remind us, are already gone. There's a soft sadness in that realization, the kind that feels like memory, not loss. What we see is always a little behind what is. The light of a star is its farewell, still traveling toward us long after the star itself has burned away. Einstein once wrote, "For us believing physicists, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." And here, at the edge of the observable universe, that illusion begins to unravel completely. The further out we look, the further back in time we fall. It is as if the universe itself were a vast mirror, showing us its past but never its present. Each photon we catch is ancient, older than every mountain, every ocean, every breath that has ever risen on Earth. And yet, as we reach the cosmic event horizon, even that ancient light begins to thin. There are regions of the universe whose glow will never find us, whose stories will never be told. They are lost, not because they cease to exist, but because space-time itself carries them away faster than light can bridge the gap. This is not a violent separation. It is a gentle letting go, like watching a ship disappear over the horizon, not because it has vanished, but because the ocean is vast. Some astronomers describe this boundary as the edge of time, while others call it the end of sight. But for those who listen more than they measure, it feels like something quieter, a breath drawn in before eternal silence. In the deep future, billions of years from now, these horizons will shift closer. Galaxies that now shine in Webb's golden field will slip beyond visibility. The universe will continue to expand, but our window will shrink like a candle dimming behind an ever-thickening veil. One day, only our local group, the Milky Way and Andromeda, bound in a slow cosmic embrace, will remain visible in the dark. Beyond them, all will fade, but perhaps that fading is not an end. Perhaps it is a kind of peace, a cosmic sleep. When the light fades, it does not die. It rests, stretched thin across the infinite, whispering softly, "I was here." And maybe that's what the event horizon truly is. Not a wall, but a reminder of humility. A boundary that says gently, "You cannot see everything, and that is enough." We often think of science as conquest, of reaching farther, seeing deeper, illuminating every dark corner. But standing at this edge, that instinct quiets. The universe teaches us another form of understanding: acceptance. To know the boundary is to honor mystery. To stand at the edge of light is to feel, perhaps for the first time, the beauty of not knowing. Carl Sagan once said, "Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known." But here, at the cosmic horizon, we begin to sense the other truth. Somewhere, something incredible will always remain unknown. And that is what keeps the universe alive. In mindfulness, there is a teaching. What you cannot see is not your loss. It is your space to rest. The same could be said of the cosmos. What lies beyond the event horizon is not meant for our eyes, but for our awe. So as you listen now, imagine standing at that edge, where time slows, where light softens into nothing. You look out, and there is no more sight, no more knowing, only the endless expansion of silence. That silence, vast and tender, is the universe breathing. And as your breath follows its rhythm, slow, deep, still, you begin to understand. The boundaries of the cosmos are not walls that confine us, but mirrors that teach us how to be still. Because beyond all light, beyond all seeing, beyond all sound, there is not emptiness, but presence. The presence of everything that has ever been, quietly unfolding beyond reach, yet still connected to you. That is the edge of light, not an ending, but a soft horizon of wonder. From here, our journey will drift deeper toward that silence itself, the stillness beyond seeing, where the cosmos finally rests, and where you, too, may rest with it. As we move past the edge of light, a different kind of horizon begins to form, not one drawn by physics, but by silence. The universe, once loud with creation, grows quieter with age. Its stars, once burning with fierce beginnings, drift farther apart. The brilliant conversation of galaxies, the long dialogue of light, slowly fades into stillness. From the cosmic event horizon, we now gaze toward the deep future. Astronomers tell us that billions of years from now, expansion will carry the distant galaxies so far away that their light will never reach us again. The sky will no longer sparkle with the countless jewels of distant suns. It will darken, little by little, until only one island remains. The great merger of our Milky Way and Andromeda, forming a single silent home in the infinite sea. An island universe. That's what scientists call it. A lonely archipelago of light surrounded by unending night. Everything beyond it will have slipped beyond the horizon of visibility. There will be no sign that other galaxies ever existed at all. It is not destruction, it is return. A soft retreat into quiet. The astrophysicist Brian Greene once said, "The universe is not simply expanding, it's accelerating, rushing away faster and faster into its own solitude." That solitude, paradoxically, is not absence, it is clarity. Just as in meditation, silence does not mean nothing is there. It means everything has found its place. To see the universe reach that stage, to watch the cosmos grow still, is to understand something profound about knowledge itself. Every discovery, every act of seeing, brings us closer to the edge of what can be known. And the closer we come, the more we realize knowledge is not infinite. It has a horizon too. In the quiet of that realization, a gentle truth emerges. To know everything would be to silence wonder, and without wonder, the universe would fall asleep. That is not a warning, it is a blessing. because it reminds us that mystery is not a flaw in understanding. It is the pulse that keeps understanding alive. When the universe was young, it blazed with questions. Matter formed, scattered, collided. It learned itself through chaos. And we, who are made of that same matter, carry the same hunger to ask, to reach, to know. Yet there is beauty in the places where our questions end. The silence beyond seeing is not a void, but a sanctuary. It is where the noise of certainty dissolves, and we are left only with awe. You can feel this same rhythm within yourself. The more you think, the more you reach for meaning, the more you sense the quiet beneath it all. That soft, unspoken awareness that doesn't need to understand in order to exist. Carl Jung once wrote, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order." The universe, in its infinite unfolding, is teaching us the same lesson. As galaxies fade from view, it's not chaos we see, it's order returning to stillness. Expansion itself is a form of breathing, and even the universe must exhale. Perhaps this is why astronomers who measure the end of light speak so calmly about it. They have learned that endings in the cosmos are rarely tragic. They are transformations, quiet transitions from one state of being to another. In the distant future, when all the galaxies beyond our island have vanished into invisibility, their light stretched thin into wavelengths longer than the mind can imagine, there will still be memory. Not as images or equations, but as presence. A lingering hum of existence woven into the background fabric of space-time. And here, in this far and silent universe, life, if it still exists, will look up at an empty sky and wonder if it was ever full. But perhaps that emptiness is the point. When you sit beneath the stars tonight, you are already witnessing the past. You are seeing ancient light, messages billions of years old, and in doing so, you are part of the same act of remembering. But just as the universe forgets its own light in time, so too must we learn to forget gently in order to rest. The Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh once wrote, "To let go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness." The universe, in its vast expansion, seems to live by this same truth. To expand is to let go. To fade is to be free. And so, the silence beyond seeing becomes not the death of the universe, but its enlightenment, a state of being where nothing needs to be observed to be real. In this silence, even gravity rests. Even time softens. What remains is awareness. Quiet, vast, eternal. Perhaps that is what we are meant to find at the end of all exploration. Not another discovery, but peace. Not another star, but stillness. Because what if the purpose of seeing was never to know everything, but simply to remember how to look with wonder? And then, eventually, to close our eyes. So as you listen to this fading universe, imagine its last stars glowing faintly, their light stretching, dissolving, whispering their last lullabies across space. The night deepens, but the beauty remains. The galaxies vanish one by one, yet the feeling they left behind, that quiet awe, the gentle sense of belonging to something infinite, still hums softly in the dark. And perhaps, when everything has gone beyond sight, that hum is all that will remain, a timeless resonance of being. We might call it silence. The universe might call it home. Now, as your breath slows and your mind drifts, imagine that same silence unfolding within you. You are, in your own way, an island universe. Small, luminous, surrounded by quiet. And just as the cosmos expands towards stillness, you too are allowed to rest. Beyond seeing, beyond knowing, there is only peace. And that, perhaps, is the truest form of wonder. As the last galaxies fade beyond the reach of sight, silence deepens, not as emptiness, but as a kind of awakening. We have crossed the event horizon of the cosmos, where light itself grows tired and sound dissolves into stillness. Yet even here, something remains, not out there, but within. We began this journey chasing light, tracing the faintest photons from the dawn of time, listening for whispers from the first atoms, the first stars, the first breath of the universe. We followed expansion, watched galaxies drift apart, and learned that even space has a rhythm, a pulse of creation and release. But now, at the farthest edge, we find that what truly expands is not the universe itself, but our awareness of it. It is here, in the quiet, that a new horizon appears, not one measured in light years, but in stillness, the inner horizon. Carl Sagan once said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." And perhaps that is what this edge has been leading us toward. The realization that all our telescopes, all our equations, all our distant gazes were never about escaping the human experience, but about returning to it with deeper understanding. Because as the outer universe fades, the inner one begins to glow. Look inward, and you will find the same physics at work. Thoughts expanding like galaxies, memories orbiting one another, emotions curving around the gravity of meaning. Every silence in you is a form of space. Every heartbeat, a small echo of the Big Bang. The philosopher Alan Watts once wrote, "You are the universe experiencing itself." And so, the edge of the observable universe is not really an end. It is a mirror, showing you that the horizon you've been chasing has always been carried within your own consciousness. When we look for the boundary between knowing and not knowing, between light and darkness, we discover that it doesn't exist. There is no edge, only perspective. What feels like an ending is only a turning inward, a gentle folding of awareness back into its source. The cosmos, in all its vastness, teaches us humility. To stand beneath the stars is to feel both infinite and impossibly small. And yet, this duality is the key to wonder. The edge of the universe is not meant to make us feel alone. It reminds us that we are part of something so immense that even silence carries meaning. To know everything would be to silence wonder, we heard before. And perhaps that is why the universe gives us horizons, not to limit us, but to keep us dreaming. For every end of knowledge opens a new beginning of imagination. In this sense, the inner horizon is where science becomes poetry, where discovery turns into meditation, where facts, figures, and photons dissolve into something wordless, presence. When astronomers stare into the void, waiting for signals older than time, they are not just studying the cosmos, they are participating in its story. They are listening to the same stillness that hums inside you right now. Let that thought soften your breath. Let your body rest into the rhythm of that infinite quiet. The light we have followed, from the birth of stars to the death of galaxies, has always been a metaphor for awareness. It moves outward, illuminating what it touches, then slows, stretches, fades, and returns. Awareness does the same. And so, As the universe continues its expansion, perhaps consciousness does too. Each of us is a ripple in that great unfolding, a spark of stardust momentarily awake, learning to look back at itself. Einstein once said, "A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space." He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. To reach the inner horizon is to wake from that delusion, to remember that you were never separate, that the same atoms forming distant stars form your hands, your breath, your dreams. You are not observing the universe, you are its continuation. And if that feels overwhelming, let it also feel comforting, because it means that even as galaxies vanish beyond sight, you remain connected to them through light, through gravity, through the quiet hum of being itself. Now, the voice of the cosmos fades into the background, softer and softer, until only one truth remains, gentle as a whisper. We have reached the edge of what can be seen, and found that the real universe begins within. So let the echoes fade. Let your breath slow. Outside, the stars continue to drift, silent travelers across an ever-expanding sea. Inside, your mind mirrors their motion, expanding and softening with every breath. The universe is still growing, even in your dreams. And tonight, you are part of that growth, part of that endless unfolding between what can be seen and what can only be felt. So close your eyes. Let go of thought, of distance, of time. Remember that you are made of the same stardust that still glows in the night. And as the cosmic tides move silently beyond the edges of perception, rest in this truth, that no light is ever truly lost, no journey ever truly ends, and no dream ever drifts beyond reach. Sleep well, traveler of light. The universe is still expanding, and it carries you gently within it. We have traveled far, from the noise of our own minds to the quiet edge of all creation. We began among the static between stars, learning to listen beyond our own signal. We followed golden mirrors unfolding in the dark, capturing the first dawns of the cosmos. We watched light bend and fold upon itself, the universe reflecting its own gaze through our eyes. And finally, we arrived where light can go no farther, the event horizon of knowing. Here, everything slows, even time breathes softer. The galaxies we once saw burning bright now drift into silence, their glow fading not into nothing, but into memory. The farther we searched, the more we found that every horizon leads inward, that the boundary of the cosmos is also the threshold of our own awareness. Perhaps this is the quiet secret the universe has whispered all along. That wonder is infinite precisely because it cannot be contained. To reach the edge of light is not to end the journey, but to return to the stillness, to the breath, to the gentle pulse of being itself. Somewhere beyond sight, starlight continues its slow journey through space, carrying with it every story ever told. And within you, that same light still glows, soft, ancient, eternal. Now let your thoughts drift with it. Let the silence grow wide. The universe is resting, and so are you. Sleep well, traveler of light.